So I've joined Team Framingham to run the Boston Marathon and to fundraise for Hoops and Homer, local um, charity for underprivileged youth. So my history with the Boston Marathon, as a resident of Framingham, I used to take the kids down to watch the runners pretty much every year and just marvel at the elite runners, the speed that those guys could go at, and also just the qualified runners, the perseverance they put in, what great athletes they were. And toward the end, you'd have the guys that were struggling, just the regular runners. A lot of those guys were, they ran with charities. They weren't qualified for the marathon, but they certainly put in the effort. And as I began to run more myself, I got the notion that I'd like to try it. Qualifying for the marathon is nearly impossible for a regular runner. The qualifying times are astoundingly fast. My hat's off to those guys who were able to do that, but I didn't foresee myself ever reaching that level. And to get a bib for the marathon without qualifying, you had to agree to raise, I think at the time, this is like 13 or 14 years ago, you had to raise, I believe, $4,000 for a charity, might have been 5,000. So at the time, I ran the marathon twice, 2010 and 2011, as an unregistered runner. That just means you don't have a bib. And the thrill I got out of that was just amazing, running through Framingham, seeing people I knew. Just the adrenaline, the rush was just amazing. And then the feeling of accomplishment afterwards, just a once in a lifetime experience. I myself have put my name in the hat, I think 4 or 5 times, and I've come up empty every time until this year. I finally got my name was picked, and I'm eligible to run as a registered runner for the first time. I'm really looking forward to it. Training for the marathon takes a lot of time. It's in some ways it's a selfish endeavor because you leave your family and your kids for hours at a time on a weekend if you're trying to do a long run. I mean, it takes at my pace, it takes 3-4 hours to run a good long run once you're up to the 18-20 mile area. And during the week, I would try to run maybe 4 or 5 miles a day and then do a stretch run on the weekends. There's all sorts of cross training is really important. Team Framingham has an agreement with the Metro SY that the runners get a free temporary membership to train at the Y during the period they're training for the marathon, which is just wonderful because you can use the swimming pool and all the facilities they have at the Y. The training takes lots of perseverance. Some of it's luck that you don't get an injury that prevents you from training. I believe Team Framingham has, I want to say 99% of the runners have successfully run the marathon, and over half of those, I'd say it was their first marathon. So going from a 5K runner up to a marathon is a big, big step. But the Team Framingham, the help you get from the other runners and the Greater Framingham Running Club, they make it possible. They show you how you can do it, and it's all gradual. A lot of cross training involved. You just hope you don't get injured along the way. Well, the pitch is hoops and homework. Anyone who gives money for me to run the marathon, they're really giving money to Hoops and Homer, which is just a wonderful charity. You're taking the underprivileged kids in Framingham, and you're trying to level the playing field by giving them a safe, structured environment they can go to after school, they can go to on weekends, they can go to during the summertime, provide them with meals. A lot of these kids are from single parent households. The parents are working and they come home from school and they got no place to go, no safe, structured place. This provides it for them. It comes into their community. The poorest communities in Framingham. It steps right in and it fills a very strong unmet need to give these kids a little bit of support, a little bit of structure, hopefully help them keep up with school, hang out with their friends, socialize, but in a safe, structured atmosphere. To run for hoops and homework because it's a cause that's very dear to me. It's helping kids. In my background, when I was a young man, I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Malawi and then in the Dominican Republic. It was one of the greatest times of my life. But the bigger reward for me was helping kids. And I think the biggest difference we can make is to help the next generation, to give them a little boost, to level the playing field wherever we can, because they're gonna thrive on that, and the kids just absorb whatever you give them like little sponges. So I think the best bang for your buck is to help kids. Since then, I've had rewarding experiences coaching all my kids' sports teams. I think I've coached 12 or 15 different sports teams, mostly basketball, some soccer. So that ends up being over 100, 150 kids. It was one of the most rewarding things I ever did. So running for hoops and homework is just, to me, that's an extension of this. Again, it's helping a project that's near and dear to me, and it's all about kids. My only personal goal is to finish and to be able to walk away without a serious injury. When I was younger, I tried to get specific times and all that. But now at my age, it's just about finishing it, training successfully. Hopefully when I'm done, I'm in better shape than I was when I started. So personal fitness, I guess, if that's a goal, maybe that's what we'll say. Well, funny things happen when you just get such an adrenaline rush like you never had before, and that carries you for the first through Framingham, I'd say. So for the first 6, 7 miles, you're running on the adrenaline rush. The hard part comes is when you get to mile 13, mile 17, and you don't see people you know, and you hit they call it the heartbreak hill. That's when it's kind of lonely out there, and thank goodness there's still a lot of fans rooting you on and everything, but the adrenaline rush is long worn off by then, and you're on your own, and it's all about perseverance and just gutting it out.
But Heartbreak Hill really is a symbol of strength and overcoming challenges. And while the people who run this train for it all year on these hills, at the end of the day, having that crowd support on this big day is really what counts.
They look amazing. They're my heroes. It's incredible.
While runners can't always count on the weather, they can count on the fans to propel them to the top of Newton's infamous hill. When they weren't dealing with the rain, they were battling the humidity.
The temperatures made it a little more difficult.
And while the crowd inspires them to keep going, spectators say they're the ones feeling inspired.
Like so many people don't even need to say anything. It's just like emotional to like see these amazing people just like killing it.
You're so close. You're almost there. We're all here for you. We have more people down the road. Just keep going. You're doing it. You're killing it.
Then you take that last turn, you can finally see it. You can see the scoreboard, the time or whatever it is, the clock. And just all the runners are raising their hands up. There's crowds on both sides of you. It's almost like there's a tailwind just pushing you through to the end. What a rush, what a rush. So in addition to winning the lottery, I think we have to pay a registration fee of $300 or $400 for the early years. You're slowing down and waiting for them and making it look like they're keeping up with you, but then something happens when they get to high school or middle school or high school, and they just run right by you. And yeah, so if I have the chance to run the marathon with my daughter, I'm 100% sure she'll have a much better time than me. But it will still be a thrill to run with her for at least the first few miles.